This is a lecture from Open Tuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
So we've come to the end of all the corporation tax chapters and lectures. I hope you've done them in the order in which they appear in the manual, and that you've found that you've been able to understand all the examples and the notes, and that you feel fairly confident on where you're at with this topic, this tax. So I wanted to do just a bit of a review and some exam technique with you, just to move you on to the next level. So one thing that is very important, you must learn the pro forma. And what's also very important is when you are doing your revision and your BPP exam questions, that you look at the model answer and check out how it looks, and that's how you should expect your answer to look, because that's what the marker will have in front of them. So you've got several here within corporation tax. Adjusted profits, which is the same as individuals, but there's no private use. Capital allowances, and again, no private use. TTP, which is the new one that we've introduced, and gains, proceeds less cost, and then we added in indexation, didn't we? Make sure that your pro formas look like the model answers. All four of those are likely to come up in the exam, because adjusting profits is for individuals, for partners, and for limited companies. Now, you won't have to do it twice. So if the individual question is adjusted profits, they'll probably give you a capital allowances computation with an answer in it. However, then the limited company question, the big ones in section C, could have all the adjusted profits done for you, but you've got to do a big capital allowances computation, and maybe a gains computation with some shares and pools, something to add. So you won't have to do an individual adjusting profits to work out income tax and then do it again for a limited company. It'll only come up once, but it will come up. It always comes up, because it's one of the major things. Capital allowances in some form will come up. TTP will come up. Gains will come up. Okay, those are the sort of things that are definitely going to happen in the exam. So these are revision topics at the CT level, because we did them for individuals. There are some extra things, like you've got your 130% super enhanced allowance, and there are some adjustments slightly, but that is a revision. This also is revision, because many of the rules are the same for individuals as they are for limited companies. The only new thing that we learnt there was that. Now, for companies, shares, do you remember that? And that pool with all the indexation in it. Examiner kind of likes that one because it kind of throws students. Make sure also you can do takeovers when it comes to gains, and rollover. It's the only relief that limited companies have. So if you've got a company question that's got a gain in it, it may well have a rollover situation, either into it, now it's been sold, or you've got to contemplate it going forward. So that is really important that you could do that. And again, that is revision. That is revision, because we've done it before. That is revision. And I say we've done it before, it's because these lectures have been prepared in the order in which the manual is, so that they flow one after the other, and they build, each one builds on the other. So when I say revision, I hope you'll have done all the chapters prior to this review that we're looking at now, and all the CT chapters that we've been dealing with. Then the new stuff that we have done just is So that a lot of that we've done before. Groups, 51% groups, and that limit of 1.5 million, which then means that they could be large and pay quarterly. Okay, that was one. 75%, and then we had losses that we could relieve, and we had that complicated question in the chapters about non-coterminous year ends. Review that question again, make sure you understood all the various different elements to it. And that was direct and indirect. And you can be in more than one group. And then the 75% direct, 50% indirect for losses. And you can only be in one group. For gains and losses, and there were 3 benefits. You can transfer the gains and the losses paper wise, no gain no loss transfer of assets, so you can do the numbers, you can do the assets, and then you also get rollover relief group wide. Group wide. So all the benefits. There's a lot of multiple choice questions that they can ask in here about rules and regulations. They can also ask you to write down the rules and then do a question afterwards. So do the bits of revision. Make sure that those major topics, adjusting profits, capital allowances, TTP and capital gains, you can do. Shares, takeovers, reliefs for losses, reliefs, rollover reliefs. Then your groups that we've done today. So moving forward, watch the lectures. You may have to watch them several times. And do the examples. Sometimes in the examples I give you the model answer and we discuss it. Sometimes I've written it out. You make sure that you understood how I got to that point. Okay. Do the practice questions. That's the next level up. And then the third level is the BPP revision kit. Just do some of the questions. So do that all at the same time, all as part of your study. Do it at the same time, even down to the revision question. Just some questions, just so you recognise what exam questions are starting to look like. You'll find the kit is split into topics. So you go to the CT topic, do 2 or 3. They're grouped in one. So if there'll be several about 51%. There'll be several about groups. There'll be several about losses. There'll be several about adjusting profits, capital allowances. So just pick one out of each of the topic to make sure that you've got the information. And then a couple of weeks before, before the exam, practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. It doesn't matter how much you know of this. If you can't put it into practice and answer the questions in the time limit, then you're not going to pass the exam. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to pass your exam the first time round. So please practice, practice, practice. And then we can move on to the next topic within the manual, which is inheritance tax, my favourite tax.